Welcome to a new online event of Nextview. Today we're going to discuss MuleSoft and how MuleSoft and Salesforce can reinforce each other, giving customers a better personalized experience, making sure that their customer 360 and integration processes are met. We will also talk about a Gartner research on modern integration trends and how these processes play into your integration strategy. We have two great speakers lined up today, Gaurav Chopra, lead solution consultant from MuleSoft, who will give examples and tell us more about the value of integration and how Salesforce and MuleSoft reinforce each other. And we have Sjoerd Santegoets, a solution architect, who will give some real-life customer examples based upon that reinforced business value that MuleSoft and Salesforce can bring. Gaurav, at Nextview we see a very high increase in integration questions. Obviously, you work for MuleSoft worldwide. You see a lot of organizations. Can you maybe share a little bit more about the market trends that you see?
Yeah. So let's keep it very, very agnostic, irrespective of the industry, because that would basically provide the context. So we see three major trends which prevail in the market today. Starting with a digital initiative, where a lot of companies are now taking digital initiatives right up there. More so with the pandemic, it is a question how fast we can actually do our digital initiatives. More so what we have seen in about year and a half, that about 58% of the customer interactions, they've all gone digital. So that's a huge number. If you see pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, that's a huge number. That's where the companies are coming to in terms of implementing the digital initiative. That's one. The second one is around competition. More and more companies are now realizing that they are facing competition, not only from us industry within that market space, but they are facing competition even from new players who are coming in. They're basically riding high on the wave of technology. They're introducing new innovative products and thus getting the tag of a market disruptor. And the third, and I think that is one of the most important one, is the customer demand. We've seen a huge surge in the customer demand. They're changing very rapidly. More and more customers are requesting or requiring a more personalized, connected experience with whatever and whichever way they engage with any brands. And what happens is the moment they find that experience in a particular brand, they would like to recreate that same experience across other brands, irrespective of the industry. And that is where basically the brand loyalties of the customers are shifting. They're no longer loyal to a particular brand just because the brand offers some value, but they are more looking for that differentiated experience. So if I look broadly during the post-pandemic, the recovery phase, I think more and more organizations will move towards digital initiatives, will work strongly towards getting that customer demand fulfilled.
Yeah, but that's a big change. So how do you see companies then reacting and responding to that customer demand that's changing?
Yes, so as I said, one thing is digital initiative. That is high up on the agenda of these companies. They are basically bringing forward the whole digital initiative in order to provide that connected experience. Second is more and more what we see is the best of breed applications are getting into the landscape within the organization. On one hand, they provide a lot of value in terms of, with technology, we can come up with innovative products. But on the other hand, they basically create a lot of silos within the application. So, and the third one is more and more customers are now leveraging cloud. So that's what predominantly we see in terms of meeting the customer demands, what companies are doing.
Yeah, but that change also means that there's a lot of competition coming from all corners.
True.
What steps do you see then companies take to counter that?
Yes, one of them is the companies are trying to break that traditional barrier. What do I mean by traditional barriers is they are now, they know that competition is high. They have to have some kind of an association, create new business model. That is where they are joining hands with organizations who are outside of that particular industry. And they are then basically selling together these products for the end customer. One example is where insurance companies are selling their insurance via the retail channel. The other one could be where the banks are selling mortgages via the property listing website. So this is where the companies are taking that extra mile in order to capture the market and be more closer to where the customers are. So that's one. The other one is more and more companies are now maturing towards an ecosystem approach, so to say, where companies are creating a platform which acts like a one-stop shop for any customers. And they are inviting their partners, they're inviting other companies within that same area to come and sell their brands and services via that platform. If you see those examples in the market, AWS set up the marketplace and they invited a lot of retailers to start coming and selling their product. The other one, what we see more and more banks are setting up these platforms where they're selling all the banking instruments, but they're even inviting the insurance companies to sell different types of insurance over there. They are inviting the property listing website so that they can sell mortgages through that platform. And they are even inviting fintechs, which can then sell innovative products around bookkeeping, provide financial advice. So those are the kind of things which we see more and more happening in the market. As the market matures, we'll see these kind of things happening even more.
Yeah, and you've explained what you see in the customer demand, but also in the competition. What do you think then is, if listening to all of this, is the most important aspect that you have to take into account if you embark on a journey with digital integration and innovation?
True. So yes, there is a lot of customer demand being met by the companies. They're working towards it. But one of the things which is absolutely essential for meeting those customer demands or doing a digital initiative is the data. Data cannot be kept siloed in the application. And that is where the key aspect which comes is how do we make sure these applications are integrated together and the data is available on demand. And with what I mentioned earlier was the best of breed applications, we see a lot of applications coming within the landscape. We see quite a lot of these applications have to be somehow connected. And the traditional approaches for integrations are not going to fulfill or they're not going to be sustainable going forward. That is where organizations need to start thinking about integration as a strategic initiative. They need to have a very well thought through integration strategy for these initiatives if these organizations have to be successful.
Yeah, we said at the beginning, Gartner has done a research on that. There's a document that people can download at the end and learn more about it. But what do you feel is the key aspects that they find in that research with regard to MuleSoft?
Yeah. So with regards to MuleSoft, one thing which I see is basically the whole hybrid integration platform which Gartner speaks about. And as part of the hybrid integration platform, MuleSoft is one of the best in the market today with respect to it is able to fulfill a lot of your integration needs through a single platform, be it different use cases running around web services, enterprise service bus, API management, all can be fulfilled by a single unified platform called the Anypoint platform. So that, I think it's a true hybrid integration platform which MuleSoft offers to the market today.
Yeah, so you're saying integration and having an integration strategy is key in this.
Yes.
And Gartner has really highlighted that having a defined integration strategy is therefore very important. They also recognize the importance of and the necessity of integration strategy to support modern integration strategies. Looking at the integration strategy that you mentioned last, the hybrid integration platform strategy and the capabilities there, what do you then, when you look at the report of Gartner, see there?
Because that hybrid integration platform is one thing which is absolutely key for any organization to be successful. We can't have multiple integration platforms floating around in order to meet the demands of the organization. They have to be one single platform which is well governed, well managed, and easier for the organizations because otherwise it'll create a lot of confusion within the organization. So that's I think one of the key things as part of the integration strategy is to basically look at a platform which fulfills all your integration use cases.
Yeah, and looking at that from a customer perspective, Sjoerd, maybe you can shed some light on that. I think that there's a lot of looking into that hybrid integration strategy. I mean, There's a lot of adoption going on there as well on the customer perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Gaurav was already mentioning earlier that a lot of companies, a lot of organizations are currently embracing cloud technologies, right? And that can be SaaS solutions, can be other cloud services. And what they all have in common is that they need to be integrated. So they also need to be connected to each other. And I think what Gartner is primarily stressing here is that it's important that you have one hybrid integration platform that supports both the multi-cloud integration, but also supports the hybrid integrations where you're connecting the cloud systems to your on-premise data sources.
And what does that mean for MuleSoft?
As I said, MuleSoft is a true hybrid integration platform, and what it said, it meets all the demands and the needs of the customer through a single platform. Whether we are talking about different integration use case, starting from a simple file transfer use case, going into a more modern ones like the microservices architecture, looking at deployments, which can be either on the cloud, could be in hybrid, or could be predominantly on premise. MuleSoft has the solution for all these via that single platform, which is the Anypoint platform.
Yeah, but Gartner is also mentioning reusability as a key factor.
Yeah, absolutely. I think reusability is crucial here. I think having an integration platform and building APIs in itself is not going to solve your integration challenges as an organization. I think what you need to think about is this reusability. If you really want to lower your total cost of ownership and increase your business agility, you need, as Gartner is saying, you need to eliminate all the wasted effort and think about the reusability of your integration. So that's absolutely key to a successful integration strategy.
Yeah, and from MuleSoft, I assume reusability is in there.
Yes, that's part of our DNA. If you look at it, with the overall methodology, with API-led connectivity, and very well supported by the capability within the platform with the Anypoint Exchange, which is nothing but the hub or the registry where all of these integration assets are stored, which can easily be accessed by anybody within the organization, and then just reuse those assets rather than just rebuilding it and wasting quite a lot of effort over there.
Yeah. We mentioned earlier that due to what happened, of course, with the pandemic, there's also a lot of quick changes and high demands going on for integration. I think that Gartner also mentions self-service approach is very important in that aspect.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's a very interesting point indeed. I think what we see is that companies, organizations really expect integrations to be delivered much faster and in a more agile manner. And at the same time, you see a lot of organizations still approaching integration sort of in an old-fashioned manner with a centralized IT organization and often also in a more waterfall process, which leads to longer lead times. And I think, and this is not even per se specific to the integration world, but you see that in a broader perspective. But what could help here is if you can enable, let's say, the non-traditional IT personas to also start working on integration. And that's where self-service comes in. And of course, you there need a governance process where this is all governed by IT. But by providing self-service capabilities, you can tap into new groups of people who can start delivering these integrations, and that can really help in speeding up the time to value and in creating more business agility.
Yeah, and what does that mean for MuleSoft?
Yeah, because this is quite an important aspect for MuleSoft as well. This is one of the pillars with which we go to market. Of course, with the whole API-led connectivity approach being right at the center of it, where we start creating a lot of these integration assets. But there is an approach which is called the Center for Enablement, which is actually the key which enables people within the organization. They know about the new operating model which is coming up, and then right at the center of this is reusability. And then we basically allow more and more people within the organization, so different personas within the organization, to come and reuse those assets in a self-service manner. and start creating that differentiation experience which we mentioned earlier, because that is going to be the key if you want to be successful within the market. So that's all part and parcel of our methodology within MuleSoft.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course the theme of today is also what can MuleSoft and Salesforce do together? How can they be reinforcing to each other? Sjoerd, you're also involved in multiple Salesforce projects with our customers. There's always integrations required for those projects. You spoke about the trends in the markets. What do you see specifically then in the Salesforce world with respect to that?
Yeah, I think we see pretty much similar trends as Gaurav was already mentioning. I think what one of the main drivers in any CRM project is at the moment is to really personalize and optimize the customer experience. And that means that you need to integrate your processes end to end, and that you also need to cross the data silos that are there in organizations. And I think in that last one is one of the biggest challenges in CRM projects at the moment, is getting that single customer view. As said, the data normally is in different data silos, as the different business domains within a company are using different applications, can be either cloud solutions, can be on-premise solutions. And if you really want to personalize the customer experience, you really need to know the customer and you need to know what's going on. Because otherwise, what you typically see is that, for example, service agents are spending quite a lot of time to go through a lot of different systems to really understand what's going on at the customer. And at the same time, the customer is waiting for a quick answer, right? And what's even worse, what you often see is that a customer has to explain his problem multiple times, or his question multiple times, because the different departments are not able to access all the information. Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest challenges, and that's where you want to cross these boundaries, and that's obviously where integration and MuleSoft is coming in to really provide that single customer view. I think another use case we see very often is the integration of back office and front office processes. I mean, a typical CRM process goes from lead to opportunity to quote to order, and then even further to fulfillment and to invoicing. And if you really want to offer this seamless experience to your employees as well as to your customers, you have to cross these domains. And that also means you need to have an end-to-end processes that is fully integrated. So also there we see a lot of demands. And maybe the last use case I can mention is around the development of integrated apps, where we see increasing demands to integrate with third-party applications, and that can be certain, for example, certain applications that can generate leads or can add like additional intelligence to your Salesforce solution, but it can also be in terms of the ecosystem approach that Gaurav was mentioning earlier, where you are connecting to, for example, a logistics service provider. To again optimize your end-to-end processes and really offer that seamless experience to your customers.
Yeah, I understand. And of course, Salesforce has invested in MuleSoft to help their customers with these initiatives. Gaurav, maybe you can explain what is MuleSoft doing to help their customers and to integrate with Salesforce.
Yeah, so a lot of work has gone into this in the last about 2.5, 3 years or so, where Salesforce and MuleSoft have come together, and they are basically providing the best of breed solutions to the market. I mean, if you look at it, they are kind of natural partners in this team, where MuleSoft, with Salesforce, provides the best in breed system of engagement with world #1 CRM at the heart of it, different clouds around that, plus with MuleSoft coming in, we can connect anything to everything, whereby we can create that trusted experience for the end customer, because data is available at their fingertips in that fashion. Now, how can we actually connect to Salesforce? That is, MuleSoft has offered out-of-the-box connectors for that, which seamlessly then connects directly to Salesforce. In addition to that, there are quite a lot of accelerators which have been built, quite a lot of templates and examples which have been built. They are following all sorts of best practices within integration, and they allow customers to implement these critical use cases around Service Cloud with B2C Commerce Cloud, healthcare, financial clouds. All those are part within the accelerators which MuleSoft is offering as part of its subscription, free of cost to the customer. In addition, MuleSoft and Salesforce have come together in order to release a product which is called the Anypoint Community Manager, which sits on top of the Community Cloud of Salesforce and using the Anypoint Exchange underneath. Where it helps is it starts giving helping the end customers provide a developer portal for the end customer, for the developers. And it is so simple. Within this portal, you can easily brand this portal, personalize this portal, and then offer a digital experience to your developers through this portal. So that's one big step which has been taken. I think this is one of the unique products which is available in the market today. Then very recently, we've launched the integration capability inside the Salesforce org with the MuleSoft Composer for Salesforce, where a Salesforce admin can easily develop and design integration and even deploy these integrations without having to leave the Salesforce org. So those are the kind of things which are happening. And if I look at broadly these capabilities, again, I'll point to the Gartner report, which was mentioned earlier, where MuleSoft provides that hybrid integration platform because it is providing those use cases out of the box. Looking at the accelerators and the connectors which are there, I think with this, MuleSoft and Salesforce are better together in the market if you put them together in a single use case.
Yeah, it really sounds like that, and I think it can really add business value to a customer. And maybe Sjoerd, you can give some examples of that.
Yeah, sure. Let me give two concrete examples of things that we've done recently at our customers in the combination of MuleSoft and Salesforce. The first one I would like to mention is really around that customer 360 we were already talking about earlier. As we mentioned, the customer information is throughout the entire customer journey is in different systems, is in different data silos, and you need to bring that together. We had that the same recently at one of our projects where they are using various systems for their ERP processes, for their commerce processes, for their CRM processes, for their marketing processes, and all these applications are storing data about the customer, but also about the engagements with this customer. And if you truly want to optimize the customer experience and want to deliver this wow experience to the customer, you need to bring this together. And what doesn't help is that in many cases, there are also different, let's say, digital identities in these systems. So what we also saw at this recent project is that, for example, one specific customer can have multiple customer IDs, for example, in the ERP system. And if you as a service agent or as a sales agent have to go through different systems, and not only different systems, but also have to browse through multiple digital identities, it's very difficult to quickly understand what has been going on at this customer. Now, what we did here, and I think that's quite a typical solution for these kind of problems, is we introduced here something that some sort of a global unique identifier for this customer. And we are using that to let's say, stitch all these digital identities together. And that has really helped us, on the one hand, in deduplicating this customer data. So we now have a unique ID across all systems, and we can uniquely identify one customer. But it also helped us in setting up the integrations on MuleSoft and querying all the other systems for relevant information on on this customer. So just as an example, in the customer service agent wants to see all the sales orders, all the deliveries, all the payments of this customer when this customer calls and explains the problem. And we are using this unique identifier to get all this information with the help also of the MuleSoft integration, to get all this information from all the different systems and present that in one consistent way in Salesforce. That of course really helps the customer service agents and the sales agents because they save time, so it gives them a lot of efficiency, but it also helps them in serving the customer better because they understand better what has been going on at the customer, and they can provide solutions better or advise this customer on better products that could fit with the interests of the customer. And what also helps is in marketing, right? Because we are also running marketing campaigns there. And also there, we can now run our marketing campaigns on the complete picture of the customer and prevent. We are, for example, offering products that a customer already returned, but that was information that was missing before. So I think that's one of the examples where we really use the power of Salesforce combined with MuleSoft to create business value. Another example I would like to mention is one that plays a little bit more into the reusability we have been discussing. I think at another recent project, what we saw was that this organization was capturing a lot of information online about customers. And a lot of times this is actually leads, right? Because you're capturing information which is basically a lead. And if you look a little bit better at this data, you see that there is some common information there. You're collecting some information about who the customer is. You're collecting some information about what kind of interests and preferences this customer has. You're collecting some information on what kind of products this customer is looking at, and you're collecting information around some communication preferences, like opt-ins and opt-outs for newsletters and those kind of things of this customer. So what we actually did here is we designed an integration where we could capture all these leads and in such a way that we can connect very easily into different channels and capture these leads basically on any channel they are coming from. So what we end up now with is with a solution that it doesn't really matter if there is going to be a new page on the website, or maybe a new mobile application, or maybe there has been an event where they are capturing leads and you want to enter them in the system through a CSV file. Doesn't really matter. We can always plug in any new channel to this existing API, and that has really helped because not only do we have the lead now immediately in the system, and the sales agents can have access to this information and can understand what the customer already has been doing online. We also can have now lead nurturing campaigns, right? So we can have lead nurturing from both a sales perspective, but also from a marketing perspective, because we have these leads in real time in the system. But maybe even more important, we really increase the business agility, because if there is a new channel where leads are coming from, we can now get this new channel online within basically hours normally, instead of the old situation where we needed weeks to get this channel connected to all the different systems. And so I think that's a good example of how this reusability can really help in increasing the speed of innovation for a business.
Yeah, and I really like that you gave two quite different examples, of course, of the usability of MuleSoft. I do understand, and I think what people might think is that it requires quite some investment if you want to start like that. And often we also get the question, but can't we start small? So maybe you can help us shed some light on that as well. Is that possible?
Yeah, I think we get this question a lot, and yeah, let me start by saying that I think it's also possible with MuleSoft to start small. So that's something that we can easily discuss. But we do get this a lot, of course, and what we often get then from customers is also the question, yeah, I mean, are there also like packaged integrations available, right? And in Salesforce you have something like the App Exchange that offers a lot of packaged integrations that you can and make some configuration, and then you have an integration. And I think that can make a lot of sense, right? In where you have a limited number of integrations and a limited number of systems. But I think what you should remember is that when this is going to grow, it starts to become problematic, right? If you look at, for example, an integration where you have an opportunity and when it is won in Salesforce, a sales order needs to be created in an ERP system. Yeah, there are packaged integrations around that which you can easily use, which have quite a high time to value, I would say. But let's say then if we extend this scenario and in the next scenario we are introducing an e-commerce solution that is also going to create sales orders, then you cannot reuse this integration normally, and what you need to do is select another package integration or maybe do some custom development there, and you see that there is a limited number of reusability possible here. And so what you typically see is when this approach grows is that you end up with a big variety of tools. You need different skill sets. They all have different monitoring tools. So it's going to be very complex to maintain this. And I think that's also what Gartner is mentioning in their report. You have to be really cautious with this approach. It can be a valid approach in some situations, but you have to be really cautious because when this grows, I think it's better to have this strategic approach to an integration strategy and introduce an integration platform like MuleSoft. And that could maybe have a little bit more investment in the beginning, but I'm absolutely convinced, and I see these examples every day, that in the longer run, it is really going to help you not only in terms of the total cost of ownership, but also in this business agility we were discussing earlier.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. And now we've done quite a few projects here over the last few years at Nextview. And we can tell the good, but sometimes it's also good to mention the lessons learned. So maybe you have some examples of that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think for me, one of the main ones, and the one that I really like about this approach, where we are combining MuleSoft and Salesforce, is that it actually allows us to really use, I always say, the power of the platforms, right? I mean, Salesforce is a platform where they offer a lot of options to integrate with. But what we typically see is that we cannot use a lot of these options because, for example, the receiving system cannot handle all the options. And what I really like about this approach, where we are also combining with MuleSoft, is that we can really leverage all out-of-the-box integration options and thereby keeping our Salesforce system standard. So at one of our customers, I think in the meantime, we must be well over 20 integrations already with Salesforce. We are yet to write one single line of custom code there specifically for integrations, and that obviously really helps in the maintainability of your system and the flexibility to keep on adding new functionality to it. So that really helps. I think a second lesson learned would be, and that's especially around the Customer 360, I would say, to try to prevent data replication wherever possible, right? So if you want to have this Customer 360, you need a lot of data, and you see sort of a tendency to also store this data in Salesforce, but that's going to introduce a lot of complexity into your system. And at the same time, there are very good out-of-the-box solutions that allow you through configuration to read this data from the third-party systems at the moment when someone needs it, and that really helps in reducing the complexity of your solution. Maybe a third one I can mention is that what I typically see in projects where we are integrating with Salesforce and MuleSoft together, that it really helps to have people on your project that both understand Salesforce and how you integrate with Salesforce solution, plus that understand MuleSoft. That really helps in choosing the right integration options that are going to help you in the long term. And they also bring, of course, especially partners that are active on both sides. We've also done this before, right? So the most common integration scenarios between, for example, a Salesforce and an ERP system that are doing those integrations and bringing in, for example, a partner that has done this before really ensures that you can leverage the best practices, but also leverage content like already data models, integration flows, etc., that can really speed up development. Which brings me to the last one. I think, Gaurav, you were already mentioning all the MuleSoft accelerators that are available. It definitely makes sense to use these accelerators, but I think you can go even one step further. I think there are a lot of partners in the ecosystem that also bring in their own accelerators that can even speed up development even faster or even more. And those can be accelerators around these common integration scenarios we were already talking about, but they can also be more technical accelerators where they are bringing in generation of integration, standardization of things like monitoring, logging, and things like that really help in getting a high quality API. And I think that's something you should always try to profit from these kind of accelerators. And I think like you said, we have a lot of experience at Nextview with this, so we're also happy to discuss this with customers on what kind of accelerators are available and how we can help them not to reinvent the wheel, let's say, but to leverage these best practices and everything that's already available in the marketplace.
Yeah, I really appreciate you both taking the time to explain this. There's so much that we can discuss about MuleSoft, and there's so much available also about both of those topics, MuleSoft and Salesforce, and how they can be better together. What I would like to do is invite everybody to download the garden paper. It's available at our website. And of course, if you would like to learn more about what's technically possible, but also maybe from a business perspective, and have a discussion with us, please feel free to contact us. And I hope we can do a follow-up session in a few months and see what we have achieved over these months then together. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.